Thank you for listening to the Luminous Recovery Yoga Podcast, hosted by Kari. The views and opinions expressed here are strictly those of the person who gave them. Take what you like and leave the rest. These views and opinions do not represent any specific 12-step program, only my experience, strength, and hope in recovering from the dis-ease of addiction and codependency. If you'd like to learn more, please visit my website at www.luminousrecoveryyoga.com. Hello, my friend. Thank you so much for joining me today for the Luminous Recovery Yoga Podcast. I'm so happy that you're taking the time to sit, listen, and to be with me during this brief share, and we'll do a yoga practice as well. I think that the yoga practice is kind of a fun part of this podcast that makes it unique. Even if you don't find yourself doing the yoga practice every time, I want you to know that it's always an offering. And the offering is what I like to call embodied understanding. It's something that we can explore in our mind and then see how it feels in the body, because sometimes the mind doesn't understand until the body does. And it seems that being able to engage both of those parts of ourselves, and you could even say there aren't multiple parts of ourselves, there's only us, right? Like we have this idea of the body and the mind, and there really is no body and mind. There is only you. There is only this body. Jill Bolte Taylor calls it an amoeba. We're just these amoebas rolling around in space. And, we tend to think of ourselves into these tiny parts, but really it's just you. There are no parts. And that actually is part of my topic today, which we'll get to. But really quickly, I want to say this podcast is actually based on a larger format called Yoga of 12-Step Recovery. And if you're interested in Yoga of 12-Step Recovery, I offer a meeting every Thursday. And actually that meeting is going to get moved to the Portland Delano Club. So that'll be fun. There will be more space and opportunities for fellowship. And it'll also be offered virtually. So you can either join online or you can show up at the Delano Club. And it's a lot of fun. And you can find more information about that on my website. So please feel free to hop over there and check it out. If you have questions about it, always feel free to email me and just reach out. Let me know what your questions are. I'm here for you. So with that being said, going back to what I was saying here, we tend to think of ourselves as all of these different parts, and yet we're none of those things, right? And so my topic for today is something that I'm exploring in my mind, whatever that is, something I'm exploring. It's a Sanskrit term, and it's Neti, Neti, which means not that, Neti, not that, which is something that the sages would say anytime someone was trying to describe samadhi. Samadhi is like ultimate consciousness, ultimate realization, enlightenment. It's like the thing that you've been working so hard towards in terms of finding liberation. Samadhi is that liberated state. And the sages would say that, anytime you're trying to describe Brahman or ultimate reality, samadhi, that it's not that, neti, because there really is no way to describe the ineffable, right? The full experience of God realization or, the manifestation of higher consciousness. Like there's no real way of pinpointing with human words what that experience really is. I think the word for that is ineffable. There's no way of really describing God. Or in Taoism, they say that the Tao which can be described is not the Tao. So there's really just this idea that we as humans are very limited in what we can, express in terms of what that higher consciousness or what God really even is. In the third step of the 12 steps, we say, God of our understanding. And what's interesting is that our understanding is actually pretty limited. And so really what we're able to fully understand about God or about a higher power or a higher consciousness or the universe is really more which can be felt or more which we can experience rather than understanding it, which is interesting. because we're limited, especially in English. You know, the reality is English is actually one of the worst languages for describing how you feel. We have so very few words to describe emotions. And so, you know, have you ever tried to describe how you feel and it's just like, it's a mishmash of things, you know, happy, sad, somewhere in between. You know, the idea that you can be both okay and the world around you is falling apart. You know, like sometimes there's just this panopticon of experience. And so to narrow it into one word like happy, sad, joyful, grief, like all of these different things, you know, not that, neti. So I've been thinking about this because lately I feel really busy. And I feel like I jam-pack my schedule. I put so much into it that I literally look at my day sometimes and I'm like, when were you planning to eat? When were you planning to use the bathroom? Or maybe lately I have to take a midday nap. I teach a really early morning class, and sometimes what that requires to get through the end of the day is that I take a nap around, I don't know, between 11 and 2 o'clock. You know, it's when I kind of start to have a little crash. And I have a lot to say to myself about that. Like, really, you're going to nap? Yeah, I'm going to nap. And sometimes I have, you know, a story about what that means about me, or, you know, just not letting myself slow down. So I've been finding that I'm very busy. And in that busyness, I can get really wrapped up in who I am in that busyness, or what I think that says about me in that busyness. But really, I am not that busyness. I am not all of those things. And so it's always this urge to be, well, who am I? And who am I outside of the busyness? Who am I if I were just to take a nap or do nothing? I've been asking myself lately a lot, especially in therapy, outside help, very helpful, is, you know, what would it be like to only do the things that I must in a day? What would it be like to do just what I needed to do rather than adding so much in? Because I have this tendency to add in. And I think that it's that adding in that makes me who I am, when really it's taking out the parts that aren't me. Rather than thinking I always like, well, I should do that thing, or I should learn that skill, or I really want to know more about that. You know, and that could be anything. It could be, you know, learning new information or learning new stuff, right? Like I have this tendency to just always be adding in. And what the practice, what I really want for myself is to actually be taking out and to be removing the things that aren't me. Not that, neti. And so I get confused. Like what are the parts that are me, and what are the parts that I just keep adding in and packing in? I have this tendency, like this addict brain, to think that more is better, more is more. My therapist said to me recently something like, the addict brain, if you told the addict brain that there was a pill to cure addiction, the addict would want 2 of those pills. And that's just me. You know, if you tell me that 2 ibuprofen will do it, I'll take 4. If you tell me that, 15 minutes of meditation is good, I'll go 30. You know, it's just always that tendency to be adding and packing it in. And so I've been really contemplating lately, what can I be removing? What can I be taking out? One of the steps of the 12 steps is we ask God to remove our defects of character. And, what I learned about the word remove is that it doesn't necessarily mean to pick it up and pluck it out. But remove, if you look at the definition, actually means to create some space. So to remove is actually to put some space between me and those defects rather than them being right up in my face. So, it's this process of learning to remove the busyness, to put some space between me and that busyness, because I tend to identify with that busyness as though it is me, as though I am the makeup of all of the things that I jam pack into a day, when really I don't know who I am. And I think that's an ongoing quest, like that question of who am I? And what am I? And what am I about? And what is God? And where do I belong? And what should I be doing? And every time I feel like I pinpoint that thing, it's not that. It's not that. It's not that. If I were to pluck out one single hair from my head, would we call that kari? No. Okay, that's not kari. So I'm not my hair. If I were to lob a finger off, would we call that finger kari? Like, no, that's not kari. So, the ongoing question is, who am I? And what am I without all of the things that I try to add in to make me more interesting, or more wealthy, or whatever it is that I'm looking at as though, like, oh, I need that thing. Like, if I don't accrue more wealth, I will not be happy. And the reality is, the work is finding happiness here and now, right now. I've been thinking a lot about my future. What is my future going to be like? What am I doing to invest in my future? How can I make my future better? When really I'm suffering right now. I'm miserable right now. And so it's, something that I've been really contemplating, which is that I can't be working for a better future, but making today intolerable. And so how do I do both? Or how do I recognize that how I am right now is the future? And that really there is no future, right? There is no past, there is no future, there is only right now. We don't experience the breath in the past or in the future. Breath only happens right now. So when we think about the here now experience, everything is only ever happening right now. So the things that I do that I think I'm working towards to create a better future really doesn't exist, especially if I'm making today intolerable in order to reach that goalpost. So I feel like this is the question. Am I this or am I that? Am I the other thing? And then the answer is not that, not that, not that. So, I've been thinking about how busy I feel, and my main task lately has been to take things out. Like, I look at my schedule in a day and I'm like, where can I cut something out? Where can I take out some of this busyness and put some space between me and the busy? Because the busy really just keeps me spinning and reeling and just, misidentifying with who I am. I think that all of these things that I do are who I am, but I am not that. Not that, not that. So, I bring this question to you. Where are you misidentifying? Where are you, oh, I am that, but really not that, not that? Where do you see yourself as all of these different parts, but really you aren't any of those parts? You are the makeup of the universe and everything that is great. Lately they've come out with some really incredible technology for seeing space. And one of the things that I recently read is that there was a scientist who was looking at these photos of space. And what the scientist really wanted the people to know is that we are made up of the same stuff. We are made up of the same stuff that is out there. So what does that mean? What does that mean for me? If I am not this and I am not that, what am I? I know that this episode might be just getting a little out there, but it's a big question. How do you identify yourself? What do you identify yourself as? What do you identify with? And is that thing you? So like I started this episode, I am not a mind and a body. I am an amoeba. I am this thing with arms and legs moving through space. And you can take me down to the most minutia, each individualized cell, and all of these specialized cells that we have in our body, the organs and then those specific cells that make up the organs. But I am not that. So what am I? What are you? What are we? What is this? It's all very interesting. So yeah, this is just something I was thinking about in terms of busyness. And, I know that people always say it, and I super don't want to be trite or cliche, even though there is something truthful in cliche, right? Like the reason it's a cliche is because it actually like fits, or it's true. But it is that time of the year where we get really busy. We've got holidays coming up. There's this urge to participate in capitalism and buy things. And, I find that when I go Christmas shopping or holiday shopping, I buy a lot of stuff for myself. And I bet you do that. I bet you do that too. I mean, I think a lot of us do, because I'm like, oh, it's on sale. I need that. I want that, And so there is just this sense of packing it in. And I think the question could be, rather than who am I when I'm adding in, it's who am I when I'm taking out. And I've actually heard my teacher, Baron Baptiste, say this. He's talked about, who we are when we're taking things out rather than adding things back in. And I think that this can apply to our yoga practice as well. I think that for me, the tendency to add in is rigor. Like I want it to be harder. I want it to be more powerful. I want to feel stronger in my body. And really where I get the most impact in my practice is when I can back off, when I can take out some of that rigor, or when I can bring in that balanced action of effort and ease. But I tend to forget about the and ease part, right? Like there's effort. And that is something that, again, one of my therapists says, I have two, I'll just let you know that. One says that, Kari, you can never have enough yin. And that's true for me. I can never have enough ease because it is not my natural tendency to add in ease. And that's an interesting thing, because rigor and challenge and difficulty, like, stepping up to difficult things, that comes much easier to me. So the challenge for me is not difficulty and rigor. The challenge for me is ease and joy and comfort, space, taking out rather than adding in. And that could be different for you. Maybe you are someone who tends to go on the ease side, and maybe rigor is the thing that you need more of, or effort. But that is not true for me. And I would say that for, modern 21st century people, that probably is more true, that more of us are geared towards the busy, the rigor, the effort, and really our work is to add in joy and play. I've been looking at my schedule lately, and I don't do anything playful. It's kind of that all work and, what is it? All work and no play make Jack a dull boy. Sometimes I feel like the dull girl, like where is the play? Where is that opportunity to create space and ease for myself? So I'm asking you, dear friend, that same question. Neti, not that. Where are you misidentifying? Where do you think I am that thing, but really not that? And I hope that you heard something today that inspires you, or that gets you thinking. And, and as I like to say, take what you like and leave the rest. I don't say that. That's like a real thing. Take what you like and leave the rest. Take the parts that resonate and leave the parts that don't. So I hope that you heard something today that makes a difference for you, and something that maybe sparks inspiration to look at your life and ask, what can I take out? Where am I adding in more than I need to, or something that I'm misidentifying with. So with that being said, let's take it to the mat and let's do a gentle practice just to explore the body. And, the most important part of the practice is the breath. So if all you do is sit and breathe with me for a little while, then consider that the practice today. You can roll around on your back like a turtle. I don't care. But I do want to provide the space for you to try on these ideas, even if it's just getting present to your body and noticing how you feel in the moment, and really tuning into the sensations of your body, so that you can learn who you are, right? Like, because we're not just these thoughts, we are this body, and we have a brain. And I don't just have a body, I am a body. So anyway, that's what I have for you today. And with that being said, I'll see you on the mat. Hey there, friend. Welcome back. Here we are on the mat. If you don't have a mat, that's okay. Just be exactly where you are. We're going to start in a simple seat. I have one foot in front of the other. My ankles aren't crossed. There's just one foot in front of the other, a simple, easy seat. Start by putting your hands on your knees. Maybe even rub your hands into your knees. My fingers are a little cold, so just warm up your hands a little bit if you feel you have cold fingers. And start by lifting your shoulders up and rolling them down your back. And then do that a few more times. Lift your shoulders up and roll them down your back, and just create some opening in your shoulders, some sensation in the shoulders. And then move in the opposite direction, shoulders up, and then we're rolling the shoulders forward. We're just creating a little warmth in the shoulders. And now let your shoulders relax. Allow your head to just float right over your shoulders. If it's comfortable to you, close your eyes for a moment. And make conscious contact with your breath. Notice that you are breathing. And without the urge to do anything or change anything about it, just be with it. Be with your breath. Put your right fingers on the floor right next to your body. Tent your fingers. Imagine that you had a cupcake underneath your right hand. So just your fingers are on the floor. And then drop your head over to the left. And notice that stretch from your fingers all the way through your neck. And you might even walk your fingertips a little bit further away from you to create a stronger sensation if you like that. And breathe. Now put your whole right palm on the floor. Soften your right elbow. Reach your left arm up. Stretch your left fingertips over to the right. And if it feels good, look up. Take a breath in. And stretch a little bit further over. And then slowly come up. Put your left fingertips on the floor. Put your right hand on your right knee. And start by dropping your head over to the right. And keep those left fingers tented. So you're just on your fingertips. And notice that side body stretch from your neck through your fingers. And you might walk your left fingertips a little bit further away from you. And just keep breathing. Ground your whole left palm. Soften your left elbow. Reach your right arm up. And then stretch and reach over to the left. And if it feels good, you can look up. And if that doesn't feel good, find a place to set your eyes that does work for you. Remember, it's not what we add in, it's what we take out. Take out what doesn't work. Big breath in. Reach a little bit further. And then set your right fingertips on the floor. Put your hands back on your knees, and we're going to take some seated cat-cow. Start by lifting your chest and your chin forward, and draw your shoulder blades in. And then round your back, tuck your chin to your chest. Do it again. Scoop your heart forward, chin up, chest up. Round your back, chin to chest. Do that 2 more times. And keep moving your body with your breath. Now come back up to a neutral seat. I want you to imagine that you were a spatula. Begin to move your body in some circles and imagine that as a spatula, you were trying to scoop the edges of a really big bowl. And so you're just moving around, scraping the edges of this bowl. And you're thinking to yourself, I'm not a bowl. Not that, not that. Don't worry about it, just pretend. Big sweeping scoops. And when it feels like a good time, like an intuitive time, switch directions and begin to scoop that big bowl in the other direction. And remember, you are the spatula and this bowl is big. So you are making these big sweeping scoops all the way around, just moving in your body. And if you find a nice place that you want to linger, you might linger there for a moment. Just allow this to be creative and intuitive movement, an expression of what you need right now, without letting it define you or be who you are. It's just something that you need right now. Take a few more scoops. And then come up to a neutral seat. Straighten your right leg. Pull your left foot to the inside of your right thigh. Reach your arms up over your head. Hinge forward to reach for your right foot. And if you can't catch your foot, just land your hands where they land. Maybe your calf or your ankle. Give a gentle pull. Notice where you're feeling sensations in your body. And slowly come up. Now straighten your left leg. Pull your right foot in. Reach your arms up. And reach for your left foot. And again, if you can't reach for your foot, reach for wherever you can reach. And it doesn't say anything about you. Whether you can or you cannot reach for your foot, do what feels good. Remember, not that, not that. Neti, neti. And gently sit back up. Now straighten your right leg. Make a V shape with your legs. You could flex your feet or point your feet, whatever feels good, or just let your feet relax. Start by putting your tented fingers right in front of you. And you might right away start to feel sensation, and this might be plenty. But if you can use a little more sensation, start to walk your fingers forward and pause when you feel the right amount of sensation. And only you know what the right amount of sensation is. Where you feel a sense of intensity, but also an ability to breathe easy. And so that balanced action, somewhere in the middle. Not all rigor, but not all ease. A little bit of both. And you might even find that you can come down to your forearms. And some people might even be able to rest their forehead either on stacked hands or stacked fists. Notice what you're feeling, and notice where you're feeling it. Keep breathing. Breathe on purpose. And then gently sit up. Now bring your feet together. Pull your booty out from underneath you. Reach your arms up over your head. Reach for your feet, your shins, your calves, whatever you can reach. Lift your chin and your chest up and gently pull your heart towards your toes. And slowly sit up. Supine butterfly. Bring the soles of your feet to touch and gently lower down to your back. Place your hands on your belly or on your hips. And if it's comfortable to you, close your eyes. Open your arms into a T. Pull your knees together and draw your knees to your chest. Drop your knees to the right. Turn your gaze to the left for a simple twist. Bring your knees back to the center. Take your knees over to the left. Turn your gaze to the right. Bring your knees back to the center. Put your feet on the floor and slide your legs, one leg and then the other. Just straighten your legs. Lift up your shoulders and slide your shoulder blades underneath you. Make your way to Shavasana, your final resting pose. We won't be here for long. So allow the time that we do have in this pose to be timeless. Just an opportunity to rest without expectation, no rigor. Just a moment to soak it all in, to let it land. Take a long, full, deep breath. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Circle your ankles and your wrists. Take a big full body stretch. And pull your knees to your chest. And if it's comfortable to you, roll over to your favorite side. Make your way up to a seat. Bring your palms to touch at the center of your chest. And notice how you feel. You don't have to call it anything or name it. Neti, neti. Pull your thumbs to the center of your forehead and gently bow your head towards your heart. In honor of you and me and this practice that we share, I bow to you, dear friend, and say namaste. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me for the Luminous Recovery Yoga podcast. I hope that you heard or felt something today that resonates with you. And thank you for taking the time. I'll see you next week. For listening to the Luminous Recovery Yoga podcast. If you'd like to support the show, please consider joining my Patreon or leaving a comment and review if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or YouTube.